everyone, the Home Service Pro here.
In today's video, we're going to take 10 different types of pipes, fill them full of water, cap them off, put them outside overnight in the freezing temperatures, and see what happens.
So let's get started.
Okay, so these are the 10 different types of pipes that we're going to be filling full of water and testing today. So with this one, this is copper with soldered on fittings. I had to solder a valve on this side because once we get this full of water, I can't solder a cap on because the solder won't take if there's water inside the pipe. So I just put a ball valve on so we can fill it full, shut the ball valve, our water's trapped, and we can test it that way. And that way we can actually test the ball valve too, see how that handles being full of water and freezing. So that's one of the types of pipes. The next one is copper with a shark bite cap. The next one is copper with ProPress fittings. The next one is Apex, expandable PEX. The next one is BPEX, it's crimp style. Then we have CPVC, PVC, galvanized, stainless steel, and brass. We're going to try all 10 of those and just see how they put up with the freezing temperatures full of water. We did take a jug of water. It's literally just a 2-liter bottle of water, and then we put some food coloring in it. So as things are happening, we'll be able to see a little bit better where it's coming out versus just clear water. So let's go ahead and we'll get started with the copper first because that one's all prepped. I've just got a bowl down here that we're going to use to catch any water that spills over so we're not getting dye all over the place. So we're going to go ahead and fill this one up. There we go. It's completely full. I'm going to shut the valve. I'm going to dump the access out of the top of the valve. And there we go. That one's full of water and ready to freeze. So the second one we're going to do is the copper with a shark bite fitting. We're going to go ahead and fill this one up. There we go. That one's full. With shark bite fitting, what's nice about these, no tools required. You literally put the cap over top, push down, give it a quick quarter turn push, and that one is now sealed up, ready to go. The third one is going to be our ProPress copper. We're going to go ahead and fill this full of water. There we go. I'm going to put the cap on it. If you want to grab that ProPress tool, we'll get this pressed on. So with ProPress, you just slide the cap on, and then you got to have this ProPress tool. And so then we go ahead and just line the jaws up on the fitting. There we go. We'll turn it like that. There we go. And then you just push the button. It crimps the fitting on. And then we just simply release the jaws, pop the fitting off. This one is ready to be frozen. The fourth type of pipe is Apex. You got to have an expandable gun in order to expand the fitting onto this. We'll go ahead and fill it full of water first. So we got that full of water. Then this type of fitting, so you got to have the actual expansion tool in order to get this to expand to put the fitting in. So this tool simply just spreads the pipe open. We drop the fitting down inside of it, and this pipe goes back to its normal shape, or tries to, and that's what makes the fitting. So we're going to go ahead and expand this pipe. Good. Okay, then we drop the fitting in. And we got to give this just a minute to set up so we don't leak on the table there. And it's probably about 50, 55 degrees in here right now. It's not super warm, so it might take a minute for that to be set up enough for it to actually handle pressure. But because we're only just dealing with just water pressure, or this gravity pressure right now, and we got a little air pocket in there. Nothing we can really do about that because as we put the tool down in there, it went ahead and pushed that water out. So we got just a little bit of an air gap in that one. Be done with that one there. And I'm going to get rid of this ring because I already had a ring on the pipe. So the next one we're going to do, this is called BPEX. This uses a crimp style fitting, but first we're going to go ahead and fill this full of water. Okay, we're full to the top. We're going to get the plug and the ring. We're going to need the PEX tool to go ahead and finish this up. I'm going to slide the ring on. I'm going to go ahead and put the plug down inside the pipe. Set this down here out of the way. If I could just have you hold that. This just crushes that copper ring down on the pipe, and that's how it makes it seal. So that one is sealed and ready to go. So the next pipe we're going to put together is CPVC. CPVC, we have to use solvents and actually glue this together. So I'm going to go ahead and prep the pipe, and then we'll fill it. So we're going to need some PVC/CPVC cleaner. This is clear, so they do make a purple version of this, and it leaves the pipe like a purple color. I just like using clear myself. So I'm going to go ahead and prep the fitting. I got the pipe and the fitting is prepped now. Then the glue that you're going to use, it normally comes in an orange can like this for CPVC only. That's the only type of pipe this is good for. Go ahead and we put a little, first let's fill this full of water before I glue that on. So we'll go ahead and fill this full of water. There you go. So then I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the pipe. I'm going to dump just a little, there we go. Just a little tiny bit out of there, put some glue on here. Can you have a hold that pipe for a minute? Just be careful because it's running down the backside here. All right. Put a little bit of glue inside the cap. There we go. All right. And then we're going to glue this cap on. I am going to hold this one for just a minute. You go ahead and set that down. And there we go. So we got that one. It's completely sealed up, ready to go. I'll put this glue back up there. So the next one we're going to do is PVC. Again, PVC is a solvent style pipe. So we do need to both primer and glue PVC. So we're going to use this clear primer again. Prep the pipe. Prep the fitting. Put this back up front here. Now this one, there's all kinds of different glues for PVC. This is just clear all-weather glue that we're going to use. Again, we have to fill it full of water first. So most of the time in your houses, PVC is usually mainly used where the well driller brings the well in, things like that. It is not rated for warm water or hot water. It's only rated for cold water. So you won't use this in your house unless you're using it on cold water only. And like I say, most of the time we use it only for bringing in the well into the house. I'm going to hold this one there for just a minute as well, just so it doesn't slide out on me. Like I say, it's a little bit chilly in here, so these fittings take a little bit longer for the glue to set, and or all the expansion type and stuff like that. It takes a little bit longer for those to set up and stuff, just because it is chilly out here. It's not cold, but it is chilly. All right, so that one's got that now. So we want to go ahead and set that up front there. So that one is all set. Go ahead and get this glue out of the way. So the next type of pipe we're going to put together is galvanized. So galvanized pipe, we don't use it a ton in today's plumbing. We do again sometimes at the well, things like that. But for the most part, we don't use galvanized all that much anymore. But we're going to go ahead and see how it reacts to the to freezing. So what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to put some Teflon tape on the threads. Usually I recommend doing about 3 wraps on your threads. Once you get 3 wraps on there, go ahead and break it off. Just take your fingers. I always take my fingers and just kind of like press it in. It makes it just stick a little better so it doesn't slide out of the way. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some pipe dope over top of the Teflon. Again, I'm doing this because we're trying to get this thing to, the water that's in there is going to expand. It's going to get under quite a bit of pressure. I don't want the fittings to leak and release the pressure. So I'm just going to make sure that we're good and sealed up. So we're going to go ahead and put pipe dope and Teflon tape on these. Normally I don't do that unless it's like 1-inch pipe or larger. 1/2 and 3/4, usually you can get away with just using just some pipe dope. So now we're going to go ahead and fill this full of water. Here we go. Set that down. And I'm going to go ahead and just hand tighten this cap on. Then I'm going to get my pipe vise here. I'm going to set the pipe vise here in front of me and then go ahead and get this locked into the pipe vise. And that just makes, I like these pipe vices because it makes it to where you're not like, you don't have to use 2 hands. You're not got a couple of pairs of wrenches. It kind of holds it in place for you. You just get your channel locks on there. And then the pipe vise acts like a second pipe wrench, only it's stationary. So you can really get rough with it and you can do a lot of things by yourself that you can't normally do because without a third set of hands or a second set of hands. So that one's all set, tightened down, good to go. We'll see how that one reacts. So the next type of pipe that we're going to do is stainless steel. I went shopping at Menards for all this material and I seen stainless steel pipe. And I'm like, you know what? I've never seen stainless steel pipe as far as installed in a house, but it is completely legal to install in a house. I just don't see it that much. Again, I would suspect that you would see this probably at your well, maybe. I know that I've used some stainless steel in medical, for medical buildings and stuff like that. But let's see how it does when it freezes. So we'll go ahead and get this completely prepped, put some pipe dope on this as well. Then we'll fill it full of water. We'll get that cap tightened on there. There we go. Get the cap. We'll get this one filled full of water. We'll get the cap tightened on by hand. Get that pipe vise back out. And stainless steel is a much harder pipe than galvanized and or brass. And so like you can see that I'm kind of struggling a little bit. The jaws of my pipe vise, they're not quite wanting to dig into that very well. There we go. Because it's so hard that the teeth won't quite dig into the pipe. So there we go. That one's all filled, tightened down. We'll see how that does. The last type of pipe that we're going to do is brass. I do see quite a bit of brass, again, by your well or sometimes at your water heater, there'll be some brass. But mostly, you only see this like where the well comes into the house, right at your expansion tank, things like that again. Sometimes at like the back of shower valves, things like that, you'll have some brass. But again, it's not something you pipe your entire house in by no means. So we'll go ahead and get this filled full of water. Actually, I just got to put a little bit of pipe dope on here. And this is our last pipe that we got to prep. And then we're going to get all of these mounted onto a board and label everything so we have a good idea of what each pipe does. And that way I can get everything lined up and make it to where we can see what it does there. Okay, so this one's full. Tighten this on by hand again. Get that pipe vise. And there we go. All right, so we have our 10 different types of pipes fully prepped, ready to go. We're going to get these mounted onto a board, and we'll get back with you, and we'll show you how we did that, and we'll go from there. We'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, guys, we got them all mounted on a board now. We have each of them labeled like this is copper with soldered fittings, copper with shark bite, copper with ProPress, Apex, BPEX, CPVC, PVC, galvanized, stainless steel, and brass. So we're going to go ahead and set this thing outside overnight. We'll see what happens. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, guys, after 2 days of this being out in the cold, we've seen temperatures as low as -5 degrees outside, actual temperature. We'll go ahead and we'll see how these pipes did. We have the copper with the soldered fittings, the copper with the shark bite fittings, the copper with the ProPress, Apex, BPEX, CPVC, PVC, galvanized, stainless steel, and brass. We'll get these guys off the board. We'll go through them, and we'll see what happened.
This is a picture of what it looked like outside one of the 2 nights when we had the pipes out there. It is currently 3 degrees outside.
Okay, guys, so we've got all the pipes unscrewed from the board and laid out here. Let's see how each of them held up. So we've got the copper with the solder fittings, and as you can tell right here, the pipe was definitely the weak link in this. Both of the cap on the end, you can see it's kind of rounded out, so it was pushing out, but it never did pop. And the fitting itself, the brass ball valve, actually held pretty well. Let's go ahead and open that up. And there we go. There was still a little bit of fluid left in that valve. So that's how the copper made out with the soldered fitting. So the pipe is definitely the weak link, and the fitting was close to blowing as well. Next, we're going to move to the copper with shark bite fittings. As you can see, the pipe made it all right. However, the fittings, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but it actually it literally blew the fittings. Well, that one stayed on pretty good, but it was leaking. But it blew the fitting right off the copper. So the weak link was the shark bite fitting. Move over to ProPress. The ProPress fitting stayed on all right. That ProPress fitting stayed on all right. It did expand a little bit. You can see the ends kind of rounded a little bit. However, again, the pipe was the weak link. The Apex, it held perfectly. Nothing happened to it. It did freeze solid. However, it didn't blow. The pipe is in perfect shape. The BPEX, again, both ends are in good shape. The pipe stayed intact. It did not blow. Neither one of the ends blew. I think the BPEX held out fairly decent. Moving over to CPVC. We did put a shark bite cap on that. The shark bite cap did peel off from there. The end of the CPVC fitting also blew out. And I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm going to see if I can get it up here closer to the camera. But right there, you can see the pipe actually split from one end all the way to the other on the CPVC. So both the fittings and the pipe on CPVC just ain't made for cold weather. PVC, this end made it all right. The pipe made it okay. But you can see there that the fitting actually started pushing off this end and actually started leaking. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that, number one, none of these pipes were under pressure when we started the test. Where an actual plumbing system, you're going to have anywhere from 30 to 60 psi of water already in this with no air in there at all. So it's going to expand even further than what it did here. So if it's in your house under pressure, it freezes. It's certainly going to do way more damage than what we're seeing here. Like the CP or the PVC probably would have blown apart versus pushing a fitting. The reason it pushed the fitting is because we glued it together. We only let it set for about a half hour, 45 minutes before putting it out in the cold. So the fitting pushed off versus the fitting or the pipe breaking. Moving on to the galvanized. So the galvanized, as you can see, held up perfectly. No leaks. Again, not under pressure. And I'm sure there's a little bit of air in there for expansion. The stainless steel held tight. However, you can see on this end here, where the pipe dope's at, it actually leaked a little bit of fluid out of there. Therefore, the pipe dope and the Teflon actually let loose and pushed out a little bit of pressure there, but the pipe and the fittings stayed intact. Going to brass, same scenario here. You can see on this end, right here, you can see the green or the bluish color. It did leak out of the Teflon tape and the pipe dope a little bit, but it survived. But again, it was not under pressure, full of water with no air. So I bet you all of these would be a little bit different scenario if they were installed in the house. But overall, I've got over 30 years of experience in sub-zero temperatures, and I've seen a lot of houses with broken plumbing. And out of all of these pipes that we have here, the Apex, in my opinion, for cold temperatures is the better pipe to install in cold weather climates where there's a chance, like in cabins, things like that, where maybe you're not there all the time and your plumbing can freeze. The Apex, you actually expand it. Like if you remember when we put this together, we actually expand the pipe to put the fittings on. So the pipe expands, and then with the water in it, as the water freezes, it expands. Then as it warms up, it just goes back to its normal shape. That's what this pipe is designed to do. That's how it seals up. Generally speaking, with the B-Packs, I see the fittings push out of the pipe when they're under pressure and freeze because they're just a crimp style pipe and they don't have any memory or anything in them. So it usually blows the fittings, but the pipe usually holds out pretty well. Other than that, typically with the copper, with the ProPress, I'm seeing it here. Every once in a while, you'll have an actual ProPress fitting that will blow off the end. A fitting will blow out. Any shark bite, I've never seen a shark bite when you actually have a house that freezes. I've never seen a shark bite survive that. They always split. They always push off. They're just not a great fitting for freezing temperature. And of course, you go back to the old school, the way that most plumbers in up until like the last 10 years has always done plumbing. With copper and soldered on fittings, we always see the fittings will blow and the copper pipe itself will blow. I'm actually surprised at this ball valve because when you turn this ball valve on and off, it actually traps water in the ball. And normally this ball valve will actually split on the back side when we do that. But you can tell, I don't know if you can see this, but when I wiggle that handle, it does wiggle up and down a little bit, which tells me that this thing probably wouldn't hold water back if it was in your plumbing system. So there we go. We analyzed all the pipe. Okay, guys. Well, we analyzed all these pipes. We made them all freeze. Most of them failed. A couple of them didn't. Again, if this was in a real house under well pressure or city pressure where there's no air in the lines and they're already under 60, 30 to 60 PSI of pressure, and then they freeze on top of that, I'm sure that we'd see a whole lot different scenario here. However, I did really enjoy doing this experiment. I'm hoping to do more in the future.
So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support. Have a great day, and remember,
you got this. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you.